Imagine this. You are 2 weeks from closing on your brand new house. Inspection is done. Mortgage is locked. You have done everything that you are supposed to do. And then the survey comes back, and a big chunk of what you thought was your front yard doesn't belong to you. A true story from one of my first time homebuyers right here in Suffolk County. And today we are breaking down one of the most common survey surprises: easements. By the end of this video, you'll know the 3 most common easements right here in Suffolk County and how do you find out about them before you close. And the Suffolk County specific tools most buyers and realtors don't even know exist. I'll walk you through what happened with these clients and the piece of paper that saved the whole deal. One important thing before I get into this: if you are a buyer right now and you want the full playbook that I walk my clients through step by step, DM me the word buyer or comment and I will send you my full buyer video library. It's literally designed so the story that I'm about to tell you does not become yours. Okay, let's get into it. I had this great pair of clients, first-time home buyers, great financial profile. We found the perfect house for them. And then we got the survey back, and it was not quite what we expected. What the survey actually showed is there was a large portion of their front yard that my clients didn't actually own. We were honestly shocked. We went to the owner. They seemed just as clueless about the survey surprise as we were. My clients started panicking. Were they paying taxes on this property? What kind of restrictions would they have going forward? And what about the landscaping and pavers that were already in place that were going past this boundary line? The move that ended up basically saving this deal was the FOIL report. I pull a FOIL report for every single client, whether they're buying or selling. For a buyer, once we find a house that they're interested in, that's when I pull the FOIL report. Thankfully, this one came in shortly after the survey came back. So we had a second point of reference as soon as this issue came up. So instead of the panic of what do we do? Is this our property? Is it not our property? We already had all of the records that we needed to double check this information in real time. It was a huge benefit to my client. It was a huge time saver, and it helped save this deal. The FOIL gave us a second data point, and the survey, it gave us a third. Layered all together, we could see the truth of the actual boundaries of the property and not just what everybody assumed. In my client's specific case, after looking at all of the information and discussing it with family, they decided that this property still checked enough boxes to call it home. So we ended up moving forward. It would have been really scary for my clients to find out this information after closing, which is what can happen when you don't have someone on your team who knows where to look. So let's talk a little bit about survey surprises. Here on Long Island, they come in a few different flavors. The most common, though, by a mile: easements. So let's talk about the 3 most common easements here on Long Island and how to catch them before you get to the closing table. Okay, let me say this plainly and loudly for the people in the back. If you are buying a property anywhere on Long Island, there's a really good chance that it has at least 1 easement on it right now. Yeah, right now. Yep. That's what I said. And here's the ugly truth: no one in this process is going to sit down with you and fully go over exactly what these easements mean, at least not in any real depth. But don't worry, because we're going to do it here today. What specifically are people running into when it comes to easements? Well, that pool that you wanted to put in, you might not be able to put it exactly where you want it. That fence you were planning, you might need a signature from a utility company that you didn't even know that you had. It might end up blocking a piece of land that you thought was yours, but you actually are not allowed to build on. Bottom line, you find out about easements in one of 2 ways. Either you learn about it before you close and you make an informed decision, or you learn about it the day that you're trying to put a fence up and you find out that you're not allowed. That'd be fun. One for the scrapbook for sure. Here is a quick and plain definition of easements, because the legal definition would put you to sleep. And that is not what we're trying to do here. An easement is the right of another entity to use your land or a portion of your land for a specific use, even though you still own the land. You still pay taxes on it. You still mow it. You still insure it. You just can't block it, build on it, or change it in any way that affects the access of this other party. Easements run with the land. That means that when you sell the property, the easement goes along with the property. That next property owner inherits the easement. It doesn't just go away because the property changes hands. The reason why they're a big deal is because they affect 2 major things that buyers really care about: what you can build and your privacy. So what are the 3 most common types of easements on Long Island? Number 1, utility easements. This is the legal right for a utility company like PSE&G or the Suffolk County Water Authority to install, maintain, and access any infrastructure that's on your property. Think things like telephone poles and electrical wires. Usually, this type of easement is along your property line. This is the most common type of easement. Almost every house on Long Island has some form of this easement on their lot. Number two, the right-of-way easement. Now, this easement usually applies to a neighbor or sometimes your town. And it's essentially the right for that entity to use your property to get somewhere. Most common is a shared driveway or a neighbor needing to cross your property to access theirs. A flag lot that's located behind yours that's only accessible by going across your property. And there are also tons of beachfront access pathways that are from many, many years ago. Fun fact about shared driveways, unless you have a maintenance agreement, as far as who pays and who plows, who knows? The important thing to remember about a right-of-way easement, you can't do any landscaping, you can't put a fence up, and you can't block that access in any way. These show up actually a lot here on the North Fork. They also show up a lot on the East End and in the Pine Barrens, where there are a lot of different easement restrictions. Type 3 is a drainage easement. And these are all over Long Island. So what is a drainage easement? A drainage easement is actually the right of water. It is the right for stormwater to flow across, possibly pool, and even be collected on a portion of your property for the greater good of the surrounding area. I don't know if I love that. They are so common though here on Long Island because of our flat topography and our high water table. What does a drainage easement mean for you as a homeowner? Well, number one, most importantly, you will not be allowed to regrade your backyard. It has to stay at the elevation that it is. You can't fill it, you can't build over it, and you certainly cannot install a pool, deck, or patio anywhere near your drainage easement. And in some cases, the town can even insist that they access your property to maintain and clean a drainage easement. I definitely don't like the sound of that. There's also a flood insurance angle. Sometimes they can complicate your homeowner's insurance. These are the three most common type of easements that you'll run into here on Long Island. I do want to shout out one more type of easement that definitely deserves an honorable mention, and those are conservation easements. Suffolk County has a pretty far-reaching conservation easement. Specifically, these conservation easements affects homes going out east in the Central Pine Barrens area. There are restrictions on what you can build, where you can build, and even how many trees you're allowed to cut down on your property. Sometimes, depending on the location, the amount of trees that you're allowed to cut down could be 0. So how do you spot an easement before closing? Step 1, get a new survey. Always. Don't just accept the seller's old one. It's great to have the seller's old survey, and in the case of my clients, having the records really saved the deal. But it's always important to get a brand new survey. This is going to give you the most up-to-date record of what is on your property and what is not. The survey should show all of your lot lines, any structures on the property, and then should show all and any easements and setbacks that your property has. Once you have your new survey, compare it side to side to the surveys that you have on file. Has anything changed? If so, it might be something you want to look into. Step number 2, read the Schedule B of your title report. Now, this one sounds super technical, but the Schedule B2 is where all of those permanent easement details live. So we really want to take a peek and take our time. Every easement of record should be detailed on that Schedule B. If something seems off, I always go ahead and pull the chain myself right there at the Suffolk County clerk. Step number 4 in not getting burned at the closing table, pull that FOIL request. Again, this is something that I do for every single client. I do this for my buyers when they're ready to buy. I do this for my sellers before we're ready to list because I don't like surprises. That FOIL is going to give you a ton of information as long as you know the right place to look and the right questions to ask. Now, when you're submitting a FOIL, you have to be careful to ask for exactly what you want. Sending in a generic FOIL with just the APN number is the easiest way to get absolutely no response. So you have to know what to ask for and then detail very specifically in your FOIL request what you would like the town to produce. Every town is different. Depending on the town, sometimes you get them back really quickly. Sometimes some towns will say they're as quick as 5 business days. Most will tell you that you have to wait up to 20 business days for the FOIL. The good news is it usually doesn't take that long. I would say it usually takes more of a matter of like a week or two. But getting that paperwork in as soon as you decide you love a home is the best way to make sure you'll have it on hand if there's an issue. Step number 5 is walk the property again once you have the survey. Once your survey is drafted and you have it back in your possession, your brand new survey, it's time to schedule another appointment, go back to the house, and walk the property line. Is everything on the survey where it's supposed to be? Are there any surprises on the survey in terms of where the boundary of your property ends? This is the best way to tell if there is anything changed with the lot since the last time a survey had been done. Number 6, call the municipality utilities directly. I can call the town engineer and highway department, give them your address, and find out whether there are any active utility easements on the property as it is now. Now, you'll have to call each of these utilities separately. They're not going to have the information for each other. But again, if you get your survey back and something seems off or your property line seems different from what you thought it was, these are all good places to go to look for these clues. And they're important calls to make because before you put in an expensive pool, you want to make sure that PSE&G isn't going to come knocking on your door wondering why you've blocked off their easement. Most importantly, if you don't want to be bothered with any of this, you can call me at 631-766-2510 and I can do it all for you. So let's circle back to those Mount Sinai clients I was talking about before, the ones with the survey surprise. The reason why we were able to make an informed decision without a bunch of panic is because we had already gone through several of these steps. We already had the FOIL report, so we were able to cross-reference that new survey to anything old on file. We were also able to get some answers in terms of what their property lines could be used for and who was in charge of them. So instead of a panicked decision, my clients were able to make an informed one. And that makes all the difference when you're purchasing possibly one of the biggest things that you're ever going to buy. So here's the bottom line. Easements are not an automatic deal killer. What actually kills deals is the surprise element, the crisis. Finding out about an easement after you close is a literal nightmare. You want to know exactly how you can use your property from day one. You deserve that information. So pull that FOIL early, get that survey drafted immediately, and have you or your realtor, that could be me, make these specific phone calls and ask these questions far in advance of your closing. If you are house hunting in Suffolk County and you want someone in your corner who knows the right questions to ask and the right places to look, you can give me a call or shoot me a DM with the word buyer. I'll send you my buyer video library and we'll get started on your strategy.